So before I keep moving on, a question: what impact does an open-up canopy with complete sun exposure at set have on color accumulation? Well, what I can tell you, and it echoes also what Federico has said, is that with more color earlier hitting the berries, we will observe a boost in a compound called flavanol. And flavanol, if you look at the PPA metabolic pathways, the one that leads to tannins, proanthocyanidins, and color, depends upon the initial boost in those flavanols. So as a matter of fact, we started to monitor flavanols at the end of period 3 to get an early sense of the polyphenolic potential of the grapes. And just to give you some flavors of what we found is that color is the #1 factor at setting up the initial pool of flavonols and flavanols also. And therefore, this pool is higher in high elevation vineyards. And the greatest pool we have observed are on vineyards above 1,200 or 1,500 meters elevation. And it seems to be simply an effect, the mere effect of light boosting up the flavanol potential. Then that's not to say that those flavanols are going to be all converted into compounds that can be extracted, but color really has a strong footprint at the end of stage 3. Okay, there are other questions, but hopefully I postpone them up until after this presentation is over. We all understood at this point that one of the major footprint of 2017 has been this heat wave, end of August up until September 2nd. So what I did was, okay, we know we have a few ideas that 43 degrees Celsius is bad, 35 is bad for color, 43 is bad for berry survival, but how is temperature distributed across Napa Valley? So what I did here was collaborating with Cyril Bonnefoy from Terra Clima, because what this guy does with his colleagues, they account for the topography of the vineyard, the slope, what is the slope aspect, where is it looking like, to monitor differences that are a combination of climate and topography at setting up specific islands where locally the climate is either more limiting or more favorable to maintain aroma integrity, to maintain acid integrity, or to maintain color. And what's very striking here is that the lowest number, so the blue are the coldest areas. We are looking at the maximum temperature on scorching days. It was September 1st in Napa Valley. So you see that first, the bottom is the most severely hit. But look at the values. Its maximum temperature are reaching above 45 degrees Celsius. So we've passed, on all the red areas, we've passed the green berry survival traits. Fortunately, the Australians are telling us that some berries may survive up until 50, but we are definitely in the red area, and that's not good for the fruit quality and for the aroma preservation. And the lowest temperature that we observed on the mountain tops are still at 39 Celsius. Remember Maury? They showed that 35 Celsius was the upper limit to avoid decline or color loss. We are way past that. So this is why those events, even if you are hidden in the mountains, have a strong bearing on you. And now we are just trying to understand the scattering of the data that characterize the damages caused by those heat waves. And you see from 39 to 45, that was just on one day. So at this point, we'd like to wrap up the vintage report with one single map that looks at purely the effect of climate. We've seen, of course, that this map will have to be modulated by strong effect caused by the topography, by the fact that warm temperature will be inducing a faster development in some areas, and that will modulate a little bit the vintage picture. However, if we account for all of that, and if we try to present what makes the 2017 vintage in comparison with other, we came up with this graph. So let me walk you through this graph. On the y-axis, you get an estimate of how much spring rain was there. And remember, when you have spring rain, it's during period 2 and period 3, it does not favor the onset of a pre-veraison water deficit. So you see high vintage years like 1966 here, or have had a lot of spring rain. And it basically tells you the sensitivity of the vintage at enhancing water deficit. And then on the x-axis, you see how long is the dry period between the last significant rain, the one that reweighted the root profile, and the first significant rain around harvest or after harvest. So what do we see here in this graph? And also the shape and the size of the label tells you how aggressive and severe were the heat waves. So the larger, the more accumulated heat we have, and the redder, the more frequent those heat waves are. You see that 2017 is on the right bottom corner of this area. Another thing that you should see is when you look at this map is that all the vintage that are here, there is not much you can do because pretty much the climate is pacing down the maturation kinetics. You have a lot of water and you have a small heat accumulation, so things happen slowly, and human factors will bear very little effect at speeding up or slowing down maturation. When you go from the top left to the bottom right, you see that the human footprint is getting more and more impactful. Why? Simply because with your actions you can modulate the negative effect of heat, you can modulate the negative effect of oversupply in nitrogen, you can modulate the negative effect of KCB being too demanding or not enough demanding on the plant water use. So that means that the more you dive towards your right bottom, the more the human factors shape the taste of the wine. And the more you go towards the upper left, the least effect you can have because climate rules. Well, you see here that 2017 is extremely positioned because it has to reflect that we had a long dry period, the early spring rain stopped early, and fall rain was very late. So this is why we are very much towards the right. We also had a rapid heat accumulation, whether we look at period 2, 3, and 4. And this is why this vintage is skewed towards the right. We had very high value for heat waves, which is why this is a big red. Actually, it exceeds the red. It's really one of the 3 worst heat accumulation we had. If I had another color, 2017 should be redder or darker red, really, due to this very high value during heat wave. So that means that the harvest decision will have a very high impact on the taste of 2017 wine, simply because the human factor has a strong footprint. So practice, including harvest decision, have a strong effect, and that's why I thought the more data we have, such as the one explained by Nicolas, the better we can be at adjusting to those difficult climatic conditions. So that sums up today's vintage report. I'm just asking if there was a few questions before inviting the panelists on stage. Are there any questions right now? Okay, so the last questions I have on Slido is how can we use the takeaway from 2017 growing season regarding 2018 vintage health and volume? Honestly, the best wizard from my standpoint was Greg Jones. I'm not able to forecast as much as he can the weather conditions. The only carryover effect I know we could expect, provided the growing conditions are good, is that we had a high nitrogen uptake like in 2016, commanding a high potential for yield. The same should be expected for relatively high yield potential in 2018. Remember, that's unlike 14 and 15, where the drought during the winter lowered the initial pool of nitrogen, which in turn induced lower nitrogen uptake in 14, which in turn lowered the yield in 15. So we should not expect that type of situations. We are rather on good track in terms of boosting the yield. The issue that we learned in 2017 is that whatever we do, if we don't have a good remediation program to fight against heat spell, we are screwed. So And that's clearly the message from 2017. We had perfectly nice growing conditions that were all basically jeopardized by those heats that we don't really know how to fight. So the question of misting, the question of shade cloth, the question of early canopy work, the question of modifying the trellis system to increase its width, the question of heightening the cluster zone to lower the ground heating effect through radiative heat during the day, all of those solutions needs to be mixed together in order to mitigate the negative footprint of heat spells.